Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Eva. I hope you guys are doing really well. I just finished recording the weekly trance meditation, which I had in, of course, always the way of spirit. I had something in mind when I first started doing it earlier this week. I recorded some stuff. It didn't really pan out the way that I thought, so I scrapped it and I started over. And then even while I was recording, so I did the tones, like the sound synth part of it earlier this week, and then today I just recorded the tongues, the light language, and it turned out to be like a deep connection to prosperity consciousness. And I really wanted to get on and do sort of a shorter version in the style of these YouTube videos to just keep sharing that energy, because it was coming forth really strongly in this part of it that I'm sharing right now, as connecting to the highest possible consciousness of money or currency or like exchange based sort of like sustaining ourselves in society, because in the world of duality everything has what people like to call light and shadow, right? And while the financial system that we work in is coded in manipulation and control, there are infinite possible worlds, right? So a lot of us have really strong wounding that keeps us from even wanting to participate in it at all, because we just feel like it's so unjust. But we, and that comes along with the sort of paradigm that's written in this financial system, which is only some people succeed. So if I'm succeeding and I feel like I'm on a spiritual mission, or if I am interested in the equality of all beings and I want to make the world a better place, then how could I participate in this and feel good, right? How could I feel like if I'm really succeeding and if I'm taking advantage of this system, that means there has to be like 8 million people who aren't. And this is, we're called to neutralize this in all areas of life, but this is coming forward very specifically because there is a really strong call to a lot of us to be more comfortable stepping into this work in ways that are sort of like vocation based, and putting yourself out there and receiving recognition and attention and prosperity, compensation for the work that you do in fairness, right? We're not trying to extort anyone, but in terms of like leveling the playing field of what it means to be like deserving. It's not that some people are deserving or you're deserving because you worked your ass off for it. Or, some people don't work very hard and make a lot of money, right? Or they're born into it or whatever, right? So that's a narrative that only works for some people when you want to put some people down and other people can take advantage of. So we just, we're operating so strongly, and I'm so guilty of this, which is why it's coming through me. That we have a lot of resistance to even participating in the financial system. And even when you think you want very much to receive abundance in specific ways, that you block it. This whole theme of this whole week in our healings has been, and it always is, but very consciously revealing belief that is pushing away what we want from us. So this is about connecting to prosperity consciousness for all, right? This is always in the highest happiness and the release, the freedom of all beings. And it's certainly a lot of freedom, certainly a lot of connecting to the remembrance of our inherited abundance, our natural birthright as beings of the one. And just opening ourselves up from within, releasing the limitations of the paradigms in our coding that puts all of these limitations on the way that this manifests for us or how we believe it has to come forward. So that's what this healing is. I wanted to take a moment, and I'll put timestamps so you can fast forward through this next part if you're not interested, but I did want to thank everyone who commented on that post I wrote about what you guys are interested in seeing in the videos, and I'm making a list. But I also had an idea to do, it came through, I don't know if anyone remembers this, and I'm certainly dating myself, but on MTV when I was a kid, there was a show called Total Request Live, TRL. So I had this idea that maybe one night a week we would do like a Total Request Live healing, and so I can get together like the notes on what people are writing in, and we can work on that, and I'll record it, so if you can't make it and your request came through, you'll still be able to participate. And then in the comments, if what people are coming through seems like, you know, stuff we want to work on, that we can work on that during the live. And also, you know, you might ask for something and then the way spirit responds is not quite what you thought, but it's like the belief that's sort of underneath what you're asking for. So it is like where what you're asking for is springing from. That's always very interesting to reveal. So let me know what you guys think about that. If you'd be interested in sort of a once a week, maybe hour and a half, see how it goes, live, to do some of that work together in real time, or recorded if you miss it. And then also, I'll link the healing I was talking about that I just did below. That's available for purchase on my website, and I'll link the other financial healing as well, in case you're interested in a longer form. It's about 33 minutes, so not so much longer than these videos, but they're a much different format, and they have really consciously created frequency healing with like noise, you know, like music, sort of music, and non-interrupted. You know, I don't teach during it, it's just the full immersion. So if you're interested in that, I'll link that below as well. But let me know what you guys feel about the lives, and keep sending in your requests and what you're working on, because other people, since we're all, you know, connecting to each other in this kind of collective, that other people are probably feeling that too, but they might not feel as comfortable as yet asking. So it's very powerful, and we have no idea who we will connect with, right? But we have to open ourselves to the possibility of making connections. Sometimes that's hard for me too. So I hope to provide a sort of a safe space for everybody to feel like they can do that here. So we're going to get into the healing now. Taking nice deep breaths in and out of your heart space. You might feel this in your solar plexus. A lot was clearing sort of out of the sacral and the hips, the throat, but like the throat sort of back into this sort of brain stem, or even like you could feel like releasing out of your ears. You might feel pressure in your head. It's really a full system thing, because, you know, we think the financial system is one thing, but when you unravel it throughout time, there was so much coming through from all different like regions and dimensions and time space, and you know, whatever you're working on in this now might be, you know, what is sort of presented to you in your awareness. But understand that when we work with the intention of unifying, that we're working throughout all time space at once, because that's really what this is for. Yanakunim nan toshnon hintas natui shumon diti atata huasoshias non roitishi sayoshonto carro in sarakinandi sinin dishni androitis sontishiakiantakonut. And there's something that is coming forward now. It's right here, so I'll go get it. This is a very, very famous book, and he's very, very famous. But I really recommend this for people who are interested in mysticism, because the way that he describes it, he tells a story in the very beginning of this book that he was a really little kid, and there was a balloon flying across the sky, and he was like on his balcony with his mother, and he like wanted the balloon to fly to him. And he asked the Divine Mother for the balloon, and then just like knew that the balloon would come to him, and the balloon came because he had no doubt, right? And the way he describes asking God for things, and Jesus described it this way too, right? In the story where he was telling his friends, you know, if you really believed you could, and you ordered that mountain to jump into the ocean, it would have no choice but to do so, right? it's the way that we ask for things. We have to expect to actually get them because we are the children of God. We are God's sons. Like, I like to think of it as like SUNs because I see our higher selves as like solar. But whatever resonates with you, right? We have dysfunctional and distorted parental relationships and like archetypes, even if your relationship with your actual biological parents doesn't feel that way. In the whole collective, there is a very distorted relationship to that, and that distorts the way that we believe that God is for us. And when we ask for things to be, removed from our lives, and we do the work, because we do have to do the work to unravel what's making us cling to it. And there was a strong message coming forward while I was still sort of half sleeping this morning when I was waking up of, you do get what you want, but we don't understand what we want, and which part, and on all of these different parts of self throughout time are, competing, and we have conflicting goals that send out these mixed messages into the quantum field. So I bring all this up to say it's much more than just focusing on these specific areas, although we must do that, and I do it, and I think it's important. But it's also important to step back and see, where our desires are actually coming from, and what if we're seeing things repeatedly in our reality that we don't want, that this current lifetime doesn't want, or that we think, is out of balance or alignment with what we intend for ourselves and what we're feeling and what we're working on. Then really ask those parts of self deeply, which part of myself wants to continue to see this happen, because they want it out of a protective defense mechanism, right? They don't want you to have the full freedom because they think that's dangerous. So it's really bringing compassion. It's really understanding what we are holding as desires that are blocking us from truly experiencing what we are asking for, and also our relationship with the field. If we don't trust self, if we don't trust the one self, if we don't trust God to, help us to see what we have been eternally given, and knowing that when we ask in love, everything we ask for in love comes to us. If we don't believe that, we're not going to see it. So really getting into these deeper mechanisms, what's sort of working underneath of what we sort of talk about in terms of themes of healing, but what's working, those mechanisms that work sort of at a layer deeper, or a layer around, or whatever, however you perceive that. So I really felt like it was important to bring that up, so that you can do this work in all moments that you feel triggered, or when something disturbs you, that you can think about the ways within your consciousness, within that moment, that you can bring healing to yourself, that you can repair that relationship with the divine. And again, it's this like hyper independence that we have, that we believe we have to do everything ourselves. You can't do anything yourself. And if you want unification, if you want to remember who you are, you got to let go of that thought that there is an independent self or a personal goal. And that, that is really related to, if you follow those tracings, right, related strongly to the financial system, because that's like, especially in the Western world and like capitalism and all that, right? It's like out for myself. How can I get my bag, right? I'm not concerned about how, like, other people, like, you have to hold, if you want true abundance, you have to hold the intention for the abundance for everyone. That it's twofold, right? That your abundance does not inherently mean that other people will not be abundant, and that you're putting other people out by receiving your prosperity. But also that, like, when you hyper focus on personal goals, that is an exclusion of the happiness of everyone. So we are wanting to see our larger context while accepting our unlimited abundance and prosperity that is possible in whatever form that comes, right? Letting go of the limitations of how we think money can come to us, letting go of limitations on how we think we're provided for, letting go of limitations on what it means to have jobs or be compensated, right? That's all part of this. Yata sunjono intakana undo sonjoro harayos nosh. Sayoto kondimindishini ndrihind sondokon. And if everything has consciousness, and we've created everything, we've invented all of this, we've invented money. Money doesn't exist outside of what we have made it, right? It's a thing we made up. But because everything is made out of life and everything has consciousness, well, now we've projected this evil status, or this status, that this thing that's used, you know? If you put yourself in the eyes of that tool, that doesn't feel very good, right? So we want to bring in forgiveness. We want to bring in a neutralization and an equalization, as seeing money as a neutral tool that is just an extension of self, right? So that we can work with it in unity for our highest good and for the good of all beings, for the prosperity of the whole realm. And this came through very strongly in the recording earlier, but there's a whole lot about being trapped, and I won't go through that here because that's really what a big, the whole first part of that recording was for. So if that's something you're resonating with, I encourage you to check that out. But yes, forgiveness, compassion for all life, and your own worthiness. And to stop projecting evil narratives onto things, and manipulative narratives, and constricting, limited narratives on currency. And this is also, it's all very complicated. It's all very related to the receiving mechanism, yes? So we want to really get into the consciousness of the Divine Mother, of that magnetism, however you resonate with that, coming into that magnetism. For this, we want to tap into the sun. The sun, if we're talking about our physical lives here, we want to tap into the physical consciousness of the sun, and it's not just physical, but you know what I'm saying. Because the sun's activity, and this is, I wanted to say this is real. The sun's activity, all of this, the solar flares and the solar storms, streams, ions that affect our Earth's magnetic ionosphere. So it is what people say, reversing our magnetism. I think our magnetism is, I think the sun's correcting it, is what I believe. So I think it's useful to get in contact with those rays, that ray consciousness. So we can really consciously reunify, right? If we want representations of the planets and the heavenly bodies, the earth would be the mother, yes? So reunification of that electromagnetic current, that correct current of the sun and the earth. And we call out any interference, any frequential interference being streamed in from anywhere. Remembering it's all coming from within. As within, so without. That is truth at every level. But again, working within the paradigms, working within the narrative stories, the archetypes, what we use to understand ourselves. This is what I mean. Horuis atush onsoninti, hinsanonunduat, horuit. And this is very relevant to what's going on, right? Things are crashing, things are falling apart, money's changing quickly, and there's like a whole lot going on. So we're really being called, as it's crumbling without, it's crumbling within. So when it crumbles within, it's gonna bring to light all of the beliefs that we have. So this is really coming forward at this time to help us not cling to the old paradigms of money stories and the way money works. We have to, just as we ascend, everything that we've made in the field is ascending. right? So let's ascend the money consciousness along with us. Hiatasun chamantara korrin sonosh anti. Yanto konui shono insananto enianto konundo enindo yoto harayot. A major energy of forgiveness. This is for us. This is for me. And so it's for you too. Kiasati shuyo sonsoi sato. Ruita sanchikyun doar. Hyumbo ruiso tu ipatakhato. Huntuyo tu ruiti. Hinso tu urwata. Hini shansarayon soiti shuyon suit. Sukana in doruhita yanchuruko ruhit hyun yun sun hyun yun diet ruhat ahai huntu sunchanandus. Free money, free money from the limitations, free everything from the limitations we've put upon it, right? Everything without us is a reflection of the internal. So free your limitations from within. Use the tools we've made outside of ourselves to assist that process. As we free these tools, we free ourselves. As we free ourselves and see how we have made these tools as emanations from our consciousness, that we free up the tools, neutral tools. Made for our benefit by us. Everything is here for my benefit. God is for me, and everything is for me. Everything is for my benefit. Everything is for my remembering. I invented this as I see it. I made this situation as I see it, and I could make it something different. But I'm doing that with the enlightened perception of spirit flowing through me, that correcting my perception that I believe that the world is against me, and I believe that these structures are evil, and I don't want to be a part of it, or I'm unworthy of receiving this, right? We need to correct that, and spirit is waiting. It's always there, right? So it's always hanging out. It's always ready. It hasn't gone anywhere. We're the ones who aren't looking. So it is waiting, in a sense, for you to just look so it can get to work. But it won't do that without your permission. Kini son sonibinian tokorruhin shinon tuti. And it doesn't mean that if you like are praying and like you don't hit the lottery, that you're doing something wrong, right? That's what I mean by, I keep saying, limit the constrictions you're putting on it, limit the ways, like let go of the limits of the ways that it could come to you. Like, don't think about that part of it. That's why I brought up Paramahansa's story, that you just know that you've asked and then it is given. It's already been given, right? God has given us. We are just exactly as God created us at this moment of self, as we always were, because there is no time, there is only the eternal. So when we work on remembering that God has already given, and God only gives truly, that all of these blessings are already here for us. And we are the ones that are placing constrictions and limitations and like false paradigms and like making all of these ways for God to not be able to get to us. God didn't invent like a super steep like Manitou incline, Google it, level staircase for us to climb up to reach it. We made that up, right? God would have you release your limitations and know yourself healed and know yourself truly and know yourself as love eternally right now. It's not something you have to earn. It's what you are, and God gives truly. Hold yourself in compassion, because there's lots of parts of self that don't believe that. Our current parts of self don't completely believe that either, or else perception such as it is would be ended. Koishun su arit itonto kinindi, hiontua. Ratusu, mantayot undu shanain, hyot oin, undruin, hyondo shanandri. Giving up the fight. There's no fight needed. Excuse me. I'm making that face because I feel like I have to sneeze. It's not going to come out. Okay. I think we're going to end it there, but there is energy that is still releasing. So I encourage you to stay in meditation. If you want to check out the trance healing, the link's below. If not, that's totally cool. But honor yourself and let it continue to flow from you. And I really do encourage you to have mantras that you return to when you feel triggered, when you feel doubt, when you feel upset, when you feel like you're encountering a situation that you feel trapped by, that you created this situation, you invented the situation as you see it, and it is gone from you as soon as you don't want it. This is very influenced by the Course in Miracles lesson for today that I'm doing, which is I have invented the world that I see. So that's all that I have for you for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are interested in staying on top of everything that's happening, you could sign up for my newsletter. Comes out pretty much every weekend, sometimes on Mondays, but mostly every weekend. And there's always a new trance healing meditation and just sort of updates. And if you resonate with the work, you might resonate with the updates as well. Just a little encouragement, a little context, a little wisdom, a little insight, a little assistance, for myself included, to remember and keep our strength and help us align our will with that of the divine for the week. And then just like random stuff that I see that I think is funny or cool or helps me remember stuff I read or whatever. So I would love to see you all on the list. And here, remember to subscribe to the channel and show your friends if you have like-minded and like-hearted friends. Or if you don't. If they're not and you still want to share it, you can. It's for everyone. It's not just for some people. It's for literally everyone who wants to participate. So that's all that I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you guys have a great day.